Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Senator Kennedy absolutely calls out this ridiculous woke professor.
You recently joined a lot of other academics. You signed a letter demanding that elite institutions and universities stop accepting money from fossil fuel companies. Is that correct?
This is correct.
You consider Tulane an elite university?
I would like to think that we have a high standard of excellence in our education and our research.
Okay. Well, the Murphy family of Murphy Oil and the Deming family of Murphy Oil have recently given Tulane $25 million. You think, have you called on Tulane to give that money back?
Well, it's not, they didn't give that money to my unit or the department or school that I work in.
Have you called on Tulane to give that money back, or you think that's okay for them to keep it?
It's their prerogative, not mine.
Okay. But yet you just signed a letter saying that all elite universities should refuse fossil fuel money. Did you put a footnote in there and say, except my own?
Well, what I'd like to say, Senator, is that I believe it raises a conflict of interest for those that research climate change that are supported by the fossil fuel industry.
Yeah, but then why don't you ask Tulane to give the $25 million back?
Well, I think in the context, if that money were to be used to support climate research, information, disinformation, or whatever it may be, then that may be an appropriate conflict of interest. But I think in the context of which
you don't see the hypocrisy here?
Of course he can't see the hypocrisy. This man is a college-educated individual. He's smart enough to know not to bite the hand that feeds. It doesn't matter where the money comes from. All that matters is that this guy gets paid. And he is going to show himself to be even worse than a hypocrite because he understands this concept and then wants to hold other people to the standard. It's absolutely asinine, and it's about to get even worse.
It is hypocrisy in those that may read and interpret it as such.
Maybe it's like Washington. If there weren't double standards, there wouldn't be standards at all. Let me ask you this. You also participated in another article here criticizing Houston for building new buildings and McMansions. And you said, I'm going to read your quote. I don't want to misquote you, Professor. That means we have to change our consumer preferences. You could have a super efficient, energy efficient mega mansion in Houston or the suburbs, but it's still a mansion. You're still over-consuming space. Did you say that?
Yes, sir. That's based on work as a member of the IPCC. Our research suggested that reducing our footprint in terms of total spatial footprint would have significant impacts on the decarbonization of the built environment.
And so you're saying that people should live in smaller houses because larger houses contribute to CO2 emissions?
100%, Senator.
Okay.
Well, I've been avoiding this topic for as long as I can. But it's time that we start talking about the WEF and 15-minute cities. Now, I like the concept. I hate the policing rules because that's the trade-off in these cities. So this guy is not only ridiculous when it comes to his own standards, but he's now wanting to tell everyone else how to live their life. And what Senator Kennedy does next is textbook lawyering and a brilliant argument.
Well, recently, Tulane finished the Commons. It was 77,000 square feet, $55 million. Recently, Tulane finished the Gold Ring Woldenberg Business Complex, $35 million to complete, 92,000 square feet. Boy, that's a McMansion. You were pretty quick to criticize the people of Houston for wanting to build, you thought, McMansions, but you don't criticize your own university?
I don't find that to be equivocal comparison between space meant for students who must reside at a university.
You don't see the hypocrisy in that?
It is your finding and interpretation, sir.
But you don't see the irony of the hypocrisy?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Okay. I kind of gathered that would be your answer.
We know the Biden administration screws up constantly. Well, the FDA has as well, and now there is a high-risk abortion pill that has hit the shelves and women are running to the ER because of it. This is not good, this is not fair, but the good news is, my friends over at the Alliance Defending Freedom, the ADF, are on the case. but they still need our help. They are going before the Supreme Court on March 26 to argue their case. They've been successful at the bottom, and now they're almost about to make their case before the Supreme Court, but they still need our help. So if you would check the link in the description below, go over to my friends over at the Lions Defending Freedom, and please donate whatever you can to this noble, noble cause. And folks, this is why you need to send lawyers, hard-lined, able-bodied, and of sound mind to the Senate, to Congress, because grilling like this really shows the ruling and dominant class that they're just full of crap. And if this guy wants to study the climate, okay, I want you then, tell you what, I'm going to be his professor very briefly. I want him to write me a 2,000-word essay on Milkanovich cycles. Then his next assignment will be to look up ice core samples. Then I want him to take a nice little stroll over to the Smithsonian as a field trip at the Museum of Natural History, go right at the elephant, and tell me the correlation between CO2 and temperatures. Yeah, it's not looking good when you claim to be a scientist and turns out you're full of crap. Then, part 2. He wants to put people basically stacked up in boxes and in walkable cities. Now, I like walkable cities. I think it's great for everyone. But that's not how humans evolved. That's not how we're hardwired to do. We are actually designed to spread out, not to coalesce into cities. And that's why crime is way worse in cities. It's not because there are more humans, but I think it goes against a fundamental part of our nature. And the World Economic Forum wants to build these 15-minute cities to combat the threat of rising temperatures. It is an absolutely ludicrous thing to do, and if you dare talk about it, you are going to trigger the people in charge. And if you want to trigger liberals in your life, go over to my friends at basebuy.shop, link in the description below, and show the world how conservative you really are. And in conclusion, what Senator Kennedy does, which is just chef's kiss perfect, is he sets up the argument basically outlining his entire beliefs. This professor walked right into the lion's den and then basically put himself in the mouth of the lion, and he's wondering why he's getting chewed up. Because he starts off with the two premises that this professor tried to bring, and then reminded him, okay, Tulane, the college he works for, has done expansive building projects that contribute to higher temperatures. Basically, on 2 separate occasions, and then when he pointed out that this guy has taken money and is okay with it when it comes from oil companies, he's pointed out that this guy's a hypocrite to the core. And he wants to put people inside of boxes. He wants to put them in these 15-minute cities, and he wants to basically be the ruling class. This is what the education system wants to do, because they're so they are hardwired to understand that they're smarter than everyone, so they wonder why they're not in power. Businessmen and lawyers are often the ones in power because they understand people. Educators, on the other hand, not so much. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one, and until then, y'all have a good one.